Cold Case Chronicle, episode number 106, Vanished Without a Trace, the disappearance of Joshua Ryan Wellman. Today, we turn our attention to a case out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, one that leaves behind more questions than answers. A case that begins with a seemingly ordinary day and ends in a vanishing that has haunted one family for nearly a decade. This is the story of Joshua Ryan Wellman, a father, a son, a man working through challenges, and a person who, after November 12, 2015, was never seen again. Let's take a closer look. It was a Thursday, November 12, 2015. Joshua's day began with a ride from his mother and sister. They were taking him to ASAC, the Area Substance Abuse Council, for outpatient treatment. He was actively getting help. Things seemed, at least on the surface, to be on track. They dropped him off around 11 a.m. Before he got out of the car, Joshua turned to his sister and said something that at the time didn't seem like much. "It was really nice to see you today." But later, his sister couldn't shake how strange that moment had felt. Joshua wasn't the overly sentimental type. They saw each other often. But something in his tone, something about the way he said it, struck her as final, like a goodbye. Later that afternoon, surveillance footage captured Joshua at a Verizon store on Blair's Ferry Road. Police were able to confirm this and even identify the individuals he was with. Those people were interviewed and cleared, not considered suspects. So as of mid-afternoon, Joshua was moving around town, still active, still visible. But by nightfall, everything would change. Around 9:30 p.m., Joshua made a phone call to a friend. He said he was at his mother's apartment, the place he'd been staying. He also mentioned that there were several other people in the apartment with him. Importantly, he said he wanted them to leave. That phone call is believed to be the last known contact anyone had with Joshua. Just 30 minutes later, by 10 p.m., his mother returned home from work. Joshua was gone, and he hasn't been seen since. A small, strange detail. But there's something else. Something his mother found in the kitchen that night, a stuffed animal, just sitting there. She believed it might have been a gift for his young daughter. And that detail, a soft, quiet object left behind, carries a kind of emotional weight. A father disappears, and in his place, a small stuffed toy. Was it a parting gesture? A coincidence? Or a clue? It's one of the many threads in this case that feels oddly significant, but remains unexplained. At the time of his disappearance, Joshua Ryan Wellman was 35 years old. He was a white male, about 5'5", weighing roughly 175 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. But what really stood out were his tattoos. He had the word HOPE inked on his right forearm, a spiderweb design on the inside of one elbow, and other tattoos on his upper right and lower left arms, though not all were clearly documented. These details matter. Tattoos are often memorable. They stick in people's minds, and in missing persons cases, they can be crucial identifiers. But Joshua wasn't just a physical description. He was a father, devoted to his kids. Family members described him as completely focused on his children, so much so that he had his youngest daughter's name tattooed on him before she was even born. That paints a powerful picture, not of a man looking to disappear, but of someone deeply rooted in his family. Joshua had regular, even daily contact with his mom and sister. He didn't just vanish without explanation. When days started to pass with no calls, no texts, that was a massive red flag for those who knew him best. Even more concerning, his personal belongings, his bike, his backpack, everyday essentials he always had with him were still at the apartment. Nothing was missing. It didn't look like he planned to leave for long or at all. Standard investigative steps were taken. Joshua was entered into the National Crime Information Center database. Authorities searched the last known location. They subpoenaed his phone records, his financial accounts. They interviewed everyone who might have had information. But despite these efforts, no solid lead ever emerged. When it comes to missing adults, investigators typically consider three main possibilities. 1, the person left voluntarily. 2, there was a medical or mental health-related issue. 3, foul play was involved. In Joshua's case, none of those have been confirmed, but none have been ruled out either. A family that never gave up. Joshua's family didn't sit and wait. From the beginning, they searched. They followed up on tips, many of which led nowhere. They posted flyers. They stayed vocal. They refused to let Joshua's case be forgotten. And they did something extraordinary. They organized a vigil, not just for Joshua, but for all of Iowa's missing persons. It was their way of making sure no family felt ignored, that no name was left behind. That kind of empathy in the face of personal grief speaks volumes. To this day, they continue to fight for answers. What really happened to Joshua Ryan Wellman? What took place in that narrow 30-minute window between his final phone call and when his mother returned home? Who were the people he wanted to leave the apartment? And why did a devoted father, a man with plans and connections, disappear without a trace? His youngest daughter likely won't grow up with memories of her dad. That's the heartbreaking part. A family left without answers. A daughter left without closure. If you know anything about the disappearance of Joshua Ryan Wellman, no matter how small, it could make a difference. Please contact the Cedar Rapids Police Department at 319-286-5375. That's 319-286-5375. Even the smallest tip could be the piece that finally brings this family peace. This has been Cold Case Chronicle, episode number 106. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Got thoughts or theories? Drop them in the comments below. I love hearing from you. See you in the next one.